afternoon. Thank you for joining me, or good evening, I should say. It's only 5 p.m. for me where I'm at. It's a little bit earlier. Just going to make sure everybody is joining us. Please bear with me momentarily. If you are joining me today, please let me know if you can see and hear me on the other end. If someone could make a comment, I would really appreciate that. There I am live. And I'm going to share this. Perfect. We're going. So thank you for joining me. If you are joining me, today is part 3 of 3 Days of Deb. I see a whole bunch of you just logging in here now. So if you are joining me today, today we are discussing medical and chronic use ideas. If you are a new user, hello, Sue, you know who. Thank you for joining me. I think that's a hat trick for you 3 nights in a row. Hello. Also, Sue Clark from St. Augustine, Florida. Very nice to see you. Very cold, very snowy where I'm at today. So today I am again working out on the RelaxaVibe. The RelaxaVibe is the largest of Lifepro's models. I refer to it as functional furniture. I do not have it on the plate right now, but there is a heated ottoman kind of top in it. And on the underside of it is all the accessories for the machine, the remote, their stretchy bands. It has a wood grain and some fabric finish. And I refer to it's the only vibration plate in my lineup that I refer to as functional furniture. So if you do have the living room, you know, you like having a machine dedicated to that TV watching time. This is a larger model, but with the heated relaxation top that you can just rest your feet on. That's why I refer to it as functional furniture. But you can see my feet pretty good on this one on camera. So I have my Rumblex Plus on loan with a local spa that I'm doing some personal lives on. So I've been using the RelaxaVibe this week. And sometimes I forget how much I enjoy the extra space. So for those of you that are joining me, I see there's a healthy number of you coming through on this end now. Hello, Sue is from Charleston. And hello, Betsy. Hat trick for sure. 3 sessions in a row. Good for you. Thank you. And for those of you that aren't familiar with what a hat trick is, maybe it's in other sports, but I'm in Canada where there's lots of hockey, and a hat trick is 3 goals. So today we're going to go over 2 or 3 modifications to a couple of very basic exercises for those of you that are dealing with medical issues or chronic issues that you may be dealing with. I feel a sneeze coming on momentarily. Excuse me. Oh, I just came in from outside, so I'm a little stuffed up. I have a couple of different chairs here today. Why? Well, some of you that if you're dealing with medical issues, chronic issues, sometimes the balance, the stability, the strength isn't quite there. So this is my Frankenstool. I refer to this as my Frankenstool because it was constructed out of 2 different chairs. So the bottom is your standard basic adjustable height swivel bar stool. But I had this old wooden dining chair that I took apart and stuck it to the top. So I've got a nice decent back on this, a little bit more ample space with a cushion. But when you're standing on a plate, sometimes having a chair or something like this, if you may not need it for balance, but it's that mental peace of mind. If you do need structure, you're physically, needing to hang on to something, you may want to set your machine up by a kitchen counter, the back of a sofa where you've got something a little bit more solid to hang on to. Oh, thank you. Betsy said, bless me. If you are looking at using a plate for the first time and you are a medical user, you should go back and watch my first session, which was contraindications. I get into a bit more detail, but contraindications, if you are on a list, so if you've got something like high blood pressure, inflammation, pregnancy, IUDs, there's all kinds of different things that you see on these lists of contraindications, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a medical condition or a medical concern. Contraindications, and I always make fun of the word, and I break it into two parts. Contraindication is an indication that if you've got something on a list, so whether it's on Lifepro's, contraindications for vibration plates, or their contraindications for saunas, or if it's another company or even mine, if you have a contraindication, it is not a contra cannot do or a contra stop. It's a contraindication. So it's an indication to seek further clarity. I hope that makes sense. So assuming you've done that already, there's two basic general ways to use a vibration plate if you are dealing with a medical condition or a chronic issue. The reasons you may want to use a vibration plate if you're dealing with medical issues or chronic issues. Of course, we all know we need to be active, but sometimes those traditional activities aren't as kind, or maybe we don't have the stamina or the strength to do traditional activities. So a vibration plate can be a way to exercise. But today I want to talk a little bit more about symptom management, which I've talked about in my past two sessions. Symptom management isn't a different move necessarily, or even a different setting. It's more about the dosage. So dosage in the clinical world is, how many times a week and what positions and how long. Dosage at home means using it more often, but in shorter sessions. So instead of this mentality of Debbie, I only did it for 10 to 15 minutes. I want to encourage you to use it more often, but in shorter, more frequent sessions. So 2.5 to 3 minutes, maybe 5. And the reason you want shorter sessions when you're dealing with symptom management, those spot treatments, is many of you are dealing with pain and fatigue, and you don't need to kill yourself and endure the machine for 10 minutes to accomplish the benefit of getting relief from whatever those symptoms are. So we're going to start seated. The reason we're going to start seated is the two larger categories. So if for any reason you're dealing with medical concerns, it's holding you back from being active, you're recovering from something, you've got a chronic issue that you're going to be managing for life, we're going to start seated. And seated is part one, which is reducing the amount of weight that you're exposing your body to. So if you've had a recent hip, anything above the waist issues, you're fearful, there's a lot of different reasons you may want to reduce body weight. In the medical world, perhaps you're recovering from a recent surgery, liposuction, knee replacements, ear implants. There's all kinds of different surgeries where your doctor may or may not, as part of you having that discussion with them about being active. It's not about talking about whether you can use a vibration plate or not. It's about speaking with your doctor or care provider if you are appropriate to be active and to what degree. They're typically going to outline that for you by saying things like low impact or moderate impact, low effort, reduced effort. They don't want you doing high intensity activities. And a vibration plate in itself is not intense unless you make it intense. Wide foot positioning is max impact, max movement. For everyone today, if you are joining me, I want you starting with your feet no more than hip width apart. You are always in control over your experience. The intensity or the amplitude, the amount of movement the machine is moving you up and down is completely in your control. And today, my session, as always, is an oscillating movement. Oscillating moves you like a teeter-totter. It's the most functional, most long-term benefits. And that's, what most of Lifepro's models are. So feet are hip width apart, and by being seated on a stool, if you're using a plate in this fashion long-term, try and get something that gets you positioned at a good 90-degree angle with the legs. You're not going downhill, maybe a little higher, something adjustable like I've got here with the hydraulic. But the goal is to not be downhill. I know some of you use it seated in a chair at your desk, and for most people, it's not an issue. But sometimes when you're dealing with chronic issues, hip recovery, if you're downhill, the hips take the movement a little bit more than if you're at a 90-degree angle. And some people that don't listen to me put their feet wide and they go for 10 minutes. And it's no big deal because I was seated and I only did it for 10 minutes. but it can add some additional movement to the hips, stretching them, in ways that isn't ideal for everybody. It's a very much a unique thing. But if you find you're using your plate seated on a chair a lot, and the hips are starting to bug you or the low back, it's probably because you're going too wide while those hips are downhill. So for the rest of you that are joining me with a bar height stool, or just trying it out, just like when you're standing, the intensity, as I said, is controlled by your foot position. So wide is more movement, closer is less. And for any of the positions and modifications we're doing today, if you feel at any time it's just too much action, bring the feet closer. If you're feeling kind of, I could take on a little bit more, widen the feet up maybe an inch or two. Don't go extreme. Don't go right to the outer edges. It doesn't mean you're getting more benefit. So we're also going to, with a closer foot position, I want you trying to bring the speed up a little bit. I know this sounds crazy if we're talking medical and chronic issues, but the slow speeds in oscillating, the frequencies in oscillating, the slow ones are really choppy. They're really wobbly. So unlike a treadmill or an elliptical, I don't want you starting slow. I want you trying my approach. I just tend to deal with lots of chronic issues, which isn't outlined in the manual. Lifepro is not here to offer you medical guidance and advice in their little booklet. Activity guidelines are outlined by your doctor. We're here to help you sort of translate what you should be doing into this environment of the plate. And I think from a setting perspective, closer feet with a bit of a faster speed or program is always smoother and more soothing than chopping and wobbling like some Bosu ball sensation. So bring it up about a third, even half the way. If you're dealing with severe pain, you can only tolerate a little bit, bring those feet dead center and try going even faster. More movement in less time. Maybe you can only tolerate 30 seconds to a minute, or that's all you want to start with. Adding a little bit more speed, getting more movement in that amount of time is going to be beneficial as well as more tolerable. Everybody else, we're going to bring those feet back to about hip width apart. And, if you are dealing with a situation where you're seated, maybe you have some home exercises you're supposed to be doing. Maybe you do the chair yoga stuff. There's all kinds of exercises flying around the internet. Perhaps some have been prescribed to you by your doc or care provider. One of my favorites when I'm seated, but let's add to that. Maybe you're not able to bear weight. We're reducing the amount of body weight. But if you're recovering from something or you spend a lot of time sitting, it can take its toll on the lower legs. So foot pumps, which is just as you can see in the mirror, I'm rocking up to the tips of my toes, and then I'm coming back, lifting the balls of my feet, resting on the heels. You can just do, 5-10 reps. A little bit more of this is going to start helping build strength. It's going to help work on that stability in the ankles. For those of you that are dealing with, the fall prevention stuff, whether you're dealing with a condition or maybe you just, you got some osteoporosis going on, adding little bits of movement. Maybe we try a seated march. It's more about what you can do when you're dealing with a medical or chronic condition. What I recommend you do or somebody else online recommends you do doesn't generally have the full picture of what you're dealing with. So if you're doing other therapies as well, other activities, I'm not suggesting that you add a whole new routine on top of what you're already doing. But if you're lacking in the exercise department, you may want to incorporate seated exercises, standing when we get to that point. Use it on your off days, perhaps when you're not going to therapy. But it's also a really good complement to other things. So if you are doing other therapies or treatments, a couple minutes on your plate, even seated before or after going to see the massage therapist, going to work with your therapist, it prepares your body. A vibration plate preps your central nervous system for whatever you're going to do to it next. It makes it ready, whether that's for more vibration plate time or other things. A couple 3 minutes in the form of that same spot treatment that you're using maybe to boost energy, lymph, circulation can also be a good warm-up for other things. It's also ideal after other therapies, activities, flush that lactic acid, move that lymph and circulation to just help expedite recovery. And if you are dealing with balance, stability issues, 30 seconds to a minute will make you more stable. So if falls are a concern and you're too scared to stand on the plate yet, even just using it seated as a prep before you head out the door, even maybe before you're getting up to go make a sandwich, it's going to make you more stable, help reduce those falls. And all the while, you're getting all the benefits of increased activity. So any lower leg movements that you might be doing now, maybe we're doing some calf stretches, some toe points, maybe you're just doing some ankle rolls, anything that you can think of that you should be doing or could be doing now seated is a great way to prep the body before you do more, perhaps standing on the plate. But it's a good way to use your plate if you are in a situation where you're unable to bear your mass for medical or chronic reasons. So let's assume that you can stand and, the legs and the feet are feeling really great. But, I know especially as women, it's that neck, the shoulders. This is where we carry our stress, our tension, our fatigue, our bra strap, our purse. So there's lots of ways that you can incorporate upper body exercises, whether you're doing manual movements, using the bands that come with your plate, perhaps some free weights. But just from a therapeutic spot treatment, feel good side, if you're a new user and you're starting with a medical or chronic issue, forget a program or structure for the first couple of weeks. Just start learning how this feels, what preferences you have. Do you like wider and a slow choppy speed, or do you prefer close and a little bit faster? There's lots of different ways you can manipulate those two factors to customize for your personal tolerance and maybe to cater to the exercise that you're doing at the time. So speaking of exercise we're doing at the time, I'm going to show you how to get a little bit of the movement into the neck and the shoulders and the arms without you having to physically get down on the ground. And this is, again, just therapeutic. But because we're putting the head, the neck, and the shoulders into the equation, this intensity thing, you don't want your feet super wide. In fact, if you're joining me, bring your feet dead center. And what I want you to do is we'll start this way. Lock up the arms and just rest the hands, the palms of the hands on the knees. And you'll feel ever so slightly a little bit of movement. Now that the hands, the palms specifically are in contact with the leg, it becomes part of where the resonance, that movement goes. And you'll feel a little bit of movement going in the hands. Most people like this find, okay, that really wasn't so scary. Let's get a little bit more action going. Perfect timing. I'm still keeping, mine's at speed 20, so I'm still keeping it about a third of the way up. Especially when you get up into upper body applications, you're going to appreciate that faster speed. But if you're finding this is meh and you want a little bit more, now that you're in position, widen up the feet. And you'll feel the difference in how much you're moving. If you put one foot dead center and one out a little bit, you'll feel like on mine, it's to your right, my left. It's totally shaking. This one feels like it's not moving at all. So maybe you've got like a deficiency on one side, but the other side's doing all the work and picking up the slack. So you can maybe add a little bit more intensity on one side than the other, even up to that neck and shoulder, just by placing your foot in a different position. Progressing a little further, if that felt okay and you survived and everything's okay, let's progress to the elbows. So if you are able and range of motion allows, we're going to lean all the way over. You can see in the angle of my mirror with my elbows on the knees, it's kind of my elbows and my shoulders are positioned above my knees, not my head. There's angles that come into this. And if your head is past the angle of movement, you're getting next to no head vibration. It's more the neck and the shoulders, which is where I want to feel it. Now that I'm in position here, again, if I want a little bit more action, maybe I widen my feet up just slightly. My favorite thing to do on this one are like shoulder rolls or some seated cat-cows, just getting the movement and working it throughout different areas of my upper back. So make sure that you're breathing. You got a nice straight spine as the basic beginning position. Just roll some shoulders, do some shoulder circles. Maybe I'm arching up like a cat or arching the other way. Maybe I'm doing some neck rolls, side to side. The more you experiment, the more you wiggle around and change your angle slightly, the more you kind of learn how to direct the vibration into different areas. And for many of you dealing with medical concerns, you know what? Exercise is important and we will get there. But a lot of this little feel-good restorative work is going to make your body so much more prepared for the exercise. It's going to help you build energy, stamina, strength, and all the while the perpetual benefits anytime you're using a plate, things like increased circulation, boosted lymphatic movement, better balance and stability, better cognitive function. So it literally makes you feel and move better on a whole completely different level. And a lot of times if you're moving and feeling better, you know, the exercise isn't such a hurdle, you know, or at least it's not as impossible to imagine. So for any of these exercises that I'm doing individually, 30 seconds to a minute, if you spend a lot of time at a desk typing, you know, something like this, I might do a couple times a day just because I've been on too many Zoom calls. So I prefer the laziest way that I can get some movement as far as my lymph circulation and get that neck and shoulder tension done. Might even be clearing my Facebook messages while I'm doing this. 30 seconds to a minute as needed. You could go a couple of minutes once you build up. If you're dealing with lymphatic or circulatory issues, please be mindful. It's so easy to overdo it starting out, even though you might just be sitting. And I only went 10 minutes, Debbie. If your body has compromised lymphatic blockages throughout, you know, you're dealing with clots or varicose veins or venous insufficiency, you know, how much lymph and circulation you move, how long you spend using the machine has a direct correlation with how much your body can handle. If you've got known issues, you shouldn't be running 10 minutes with max intensity. I spoke very specifically yesterday about the potential side effects. If you're overdoing it, how do you know when lymph is moving? You're going to be peeing a lot more. You may have intermittent swelling in areas you never had before. You may have increased inflammation. You've got, when you exercise, you get inflammation. It's not a bad thing. It's just a process your body goes through. But if you're doing too much, and it's easy to do it because it just feels so good when you're using the plate. But that's common new user stuff. If you've got lymphatic issues, some prep on the pathways, there's all kinds of videos out there. I've got one of my own I share. Prior to doing this is going to go a long way. So I'm going to get this chair out of the equation for a moment. We're still going to talk about partial weight bearing, but with a twist. You know, maybe you're okay standing on the floor and going about your day-to-day, but maybe your doc or you personally aren't quite ready to commit to standing on the machine, but you do want to get back to it. Seated's okay, but you know, maybe you've been doing that for a while, or maybe you want something else. Right here, I have Lifepro's Aeroflex Step, and we're going to do two variations with this. So I've got it teed up beside the plate. Many of you are, you know, maybe you've progressed and you're able to bear weight, but you know, you're not supposed to be doing vigorous or high impact activity yet, and you're a little bit fearful. Maybe you're a new user post-surgery and you don't have any experience prior using the machine and you've got a weak side. This is a great way to try the platform for the first time. So by putting the step beside, and an aerobic step of any kind that's the equivalent height will work. Let's assume that maybe I've had an issue on my left leg. This is my bad knee side. So the other side is doing all the work. And what I'm doing here, this is a great option to put part of the body on the plate. And there's two types of users for my therapists and care providers out there that this is going to be beneficial for. So you're working on a weak side, but the other side's been doing all the work, and you want to train it, and you want to recover, and you want to give it a little bit more action. So by putting the good leg on the plate, you know, I can do a little bit of a squat and work this muscle. I can even shift a bit of my weight over onto that machine leg and just use the other leg a bit as a rudder. You can add a little bit of mass on this to help part of the, I mean, you're still getting strong, you're still doing exercises, but you're not adding the stimulus of the vibration yet. So if you're fearful, you're working on one side, you've got pain in one side, this is a great way to work the plate. This is also really beneficial if you're dealing with, you know, vertigo or, tinnitus, different sensitivities where you're sensitive, let's say, to head vibration. You minimize it very, very much in this position when you're standing completely on the machine. And if you lack the ability to bend the knees very much, you're going to get a little bit of resonance up in the neck and the head. It's not harmful, but it does take some getting used to. And while we're getting used to it, we have this tendency to like guard and protect. We become rigid, and that actually amplifies the amount of shake to the head. So try and relax, take a breath. But if that's not working for you, this is an alternative that I think you'll find very, very beneficial. You can also do this one in what's called transverse balance. So I'm putting it lengthwise with the machine. And instead of standing traditionally this way, by lining up one foot on the plate lengthways, one foot on the step, for those of you that are dealing with the vertigo or you're working on training where that sensation is you're falling forward or backward, when you're standing on the plate, it mimics that movement of walking. Our pelvis is moving in this fashion. When you turn this way, it moves you this way. So it's another good way to, you want to do balance training, but you're kind of getting bored with what you're doing. This is a great way. If you're able to stand on the plate, the position of your heel is what drives the movement. So start with your heel in the middle. And then if you move back slightly or forward, you'll feel it changes how it throws you. So really good for balance training. But if you're scared and fearful, turn it sideways and do it this way with the step. That's just another variation. The other really, really cool thing about incorporating some of the body weight and some of not the body weight that we don't talk about enough. Many of you out there are dealing with medical issues. You're dealing with budget issues and you're dealing with weight issues. So, as much as this is an awesome machine, it's not in the wheelhouse or the budget for a long time. And the smaller, these little compact machines are more up your alley. I don't recommend those for tall, large users. There's a reason that there's a weight capacity. They can get very tippy and unstable, but they're still better than no machine at all. So if you're in a position where you cannot afford a large plate and you're looking at any of the compacts and you exceed the weight capacity, cut your weight in half. If that's all that you can afford, if you follow my guidelines and be really honest with yourself and you're committed to losing the weight, yes, you can lose weight using a little itty bitty machine. It may not be the best tool, but you can use a small plate and put half your body on it and use the step as a tool to just reduce the amount of body weight that you're putting into the plate. If you got to go with something that's lower, 20, 30 pounds is nothing. But if you're 100 pounds over capacity and that's the only plate that you can afford, you can compensate and you'll probably will appreciate having a little bit more real estate to work with. The smaller plates, you're not working with as big a surface. So it's nice just to have a tool that gives you more surface the same height as the machine, for maneuvering around. Maybe you're doing some fancy moves. There's all kinds of ways that you can incorporate this tool. So lastly, I want to cover a couple of standing variations. So maybe you're at the point, regardless of the medical issue that you're dealing with, it doesn't matter why you're using the plate. The benefits are pretty universal. They're the same reasons that you want to be active. Again, I stress this just reduces the amount of time you have to spend being active. And if you have to spend less time working out or doing your spot treatments, whatever they are, we're going to reduce, that stress on inflamed and arthritic joints. We're going to reserve the energy that you do have instead of depleting it. So for standing exercises, just like we started seated, I want you bringing it up a little bit in speed. Start with your feet closer to the center. If you're a brand new user, you're just getting off the couch, maybe you're dealing with diabetes or lymphedema or whatever it may be conservative. Don't start slow. Start mid-speed, slower a little bit, maybe a third of the way up, feet closer together. There's two numbers, and everybody just talks about frequency or what program they used. Oh, and I only went 10 minutes. I would by far rather see my chronic users using it really whenever you need. So whenever you need stability, whenever you need to manage the pain, when you have swelling, when you're going out for lunch and you just want to have more energy, 2 to 3 minutes standing, knees slightly bent. So just like I was showing you seated, Standing's okay. You know, I know a lot of you just want to believe that you can stand here and miracles will happen, but I'd like to give you a couple of more specific ideas to try. And a common area for a lot of my folks, if you're restricted to sitting a lot, is those hips and the low back. And just by taking your basic standing position, straightening those knees up and bending over, like hinging at the hips to about a 45-degree angle, knees are just undone. You go from feeling it in the thighs, the lower legs, and the hips to the low back, the top of the hips. So this is my rest position. I like doing this between my squats and my knee and stuff. But if I've been sitting too long, if I had a bad sleep, I'm starting to develop that menopausal hip crap that everybody's talking about. And this is an awesome way. A lot of my guys that are really physical throughout the day that have that low back issue, you can stand, you know, maybe have a 20, 30-second warm-up. A little warm-up that I love to do is my pelvic tilts. Okay, if you got back issues, that one might hurt a bit. You could do little hulas. Just anything you can do to loosen up any tension, stress in this area. And then I lean over. You can put your hands on your hips. Let those arms relax. Maybe while you're doing this, you could go through some cat-cow type movements, adding to that pelvic tilt. So we're going to arch, tilting that pelvis forward, tailbones pointed forward, arching up like a puppet on strings. Go the other way, point that tailbone backwards. Feel a little bit of a stretch in that low back in the arch. For those of you that are stable, every time I do this one, I feel like I got to lean over and like stretch my hamstrings. This is one of those exceptions where it's totally fine to lock the legs. We're not doing it for 10 minutes. Awesome on the hamstrings. Roll back up, then just slightly undo those knees again. Whatever feels good. Maybe swing to the left a bit, to the right. Just like when you're seated, the more you wiggle around and play with your angles and your positions, the more you're going to direct it to different areas and be able to target specifically where you're trying to feel it. The last exercise I want to teach you is kind of, if you're going to learn any move on a vibration plate other than standing, it's just a variation, and it's called the squat. The squat can be just as equally effective for therapeutic applications, medical and chronic issues, as it is for fitness, bone density, weight loss. It's just a darn good exercise to get working on to improve your function. So if you're dealing with medical issues, generally speaking, most people want to maintain or at least build some strength in the legs. They want to boost and build the bone density. You want the balance. You want the weight loss. You want it all. So learn the squat. And the squat, when you're first starting out, when you're dealing with medical issues, keep those feet conservative, a little bit of a faster speed. And it's all about your own personal situation. As in, it's not about how I can do a squat or how low I can go. It's your range of motion. So you're going to come down as low as you can. Let's assume that's as low as you can go. And instead of moving up and down, I want you just holding still. The less you move and engage the joints, the less issues they're going to give you. But what you'll also notice by holding the position, make sure the core is in, we're breathing, that tailbone is slightly tilted backwards. You can really feel the load that the machine is creating on your muscles, and you can really target. So once I'm in this is my weak side with the bad knee. Sometimes I just do a little weight shift, make that one side work a little bit harder. Or maybe I shift the other way, make that work a little bit harder. Maybe that's too deep for you and you need to stand up and take a break already. You know, multiple little reps sometimes is an easier way for you to start building endurance. What I would like you to do is push yourself just a little bit. I'm not saying you have to go a minute. You know, maybe once you're in this position, you only last 5-10 seconds. That's fine. That means that your technique is good and you're trying. If you can't hold this position anymore and you feel like you have to stand up, then you should. I'm going to bring my stool back for a minute. If you are not doing these types of exercises regularly and you deal with fatigue and poor balance issues, I still want you to push yourself, but keep your stool in place behind you. You know, there's an exercise many of you have probably done at your PT or doctor's office where you do what's called the sit to stand. That's actually a little more challenging on this than it is on the floor. But what I will encourage is if you have your stool there and you're doing your squat and you're pushing yourself and you're fatigued and all of a sudden you don't got the juice to stand back up, use this as a safety. Just have it there behind you in case you have pushed yourself a little bit far and you've got something that you can just sit down and take a break on. If balance is a concern, you'll be able to see this better in the mirror. But you want to just, so maybe you need something to hang on to, right? Just for that peace of mind. I think what most of you will find, whether it's for medical reasons or not, balance improves almost immediately in some way, shape, or form for everyone when you're standing on the plate. A lot of my therapists will use it pre-treatment for that reason, to get their patients more stable. So if that's you and you're walking into walls before you head out for coffee, you might want to just do a minute or two on the plate. But instead of just standing there, squat. You're still getting the balance, the lymph, the circulation, the proprioception, the cognitive, all that. But you're also, instead of just standing, this is the difference. What is the difference between the feel-good, chronic use stuff and fitness? How much effort you're putting in and whether the position is appropriate. From here, I could talk 10,000 variations on squats. And both myself, Amber, and Roseanne have done many, many variations. But just get started with the basics. As I said, if you do fatigue easily, you may want to do a combination of standing and seated exercises. But it doesn't need to be a big, elaborate 15, 20-minute move thing. And listen to your body. I want to reiterate, provided your doctor has cleared you to be active. It's not you can't or can use a vibration plate. You have to adhere to your doctor's guidelines as to what has been prescribed for activity. So if your doctor, they're not going to say, oh, go use your machine for 5 minutes, 10 times a week. I'm saying fitness is different than feel good and symptom management. Use it often in short, purposeful 2 to 3 minute sessions, really whenever you want. The fitness, the pushing yourself, is typically once a day. And how long, it's really going to vary on you, your conditions, and the deficiencies that are in the way. So for my new users, I want to stress again, don't beat yourself up about getting into a big program or using it for the max runtime, which is 10 minutes. I see it all. I only use it 10 minutes. That's the max runtime. Where are you going to go from there? And if you are a medical user, I'm not making fun of anybody. It's just common. It's what everybody, what's 10 minutes? You're on a plate that increases the effectiveness of floor-based exercises. It ramps things up. It turbocharges those things. That's why it's easy to overdo it. Hang on, my chair has gone down. I'm going to come to the camera and I want to talk with each of you. So again, if you're dealing with a medical concern and you haven't talked with your doc in some time about, what can I do to be active? I deal with a lot of people that not everybody can just afford to go see the doctor or the therapist every time they have a question. Common sense applies. But generally speaking, if you're dealing with an ongoing medical concern, you've had a recent surgery, they've had that discussion with you about activity. I'm going to scroll up here. Unlike yesterday where I had my own common questions and I had a few to add, today I'm going to lean on you guys for questions again. If you do want to ask me questions, please make sure that you're on the main Lifepro page on Facebook. That is the only feed that questions will come through to me on this end. If you are a new user and you're joining me today, please say hello. Let me know if you're just starting, if you're fearful and haven't taken it out of the box. I want you to be accountable. And sometimes by making a comment, Debbie might check in on you later on and help keep you accountable. So lots of people haven't taken it out of the box yet. But I as I said yesterday, you've got 30 days on these machines. You did the homework, you did the research, you pulled out the credit card. It breaks my heart to see these things sitting in boxes, not benefiting you. So stop the excuses, stop the insanity. If I'm not dating myself, find yourself a reason to give 5 minutes to yourself, invest in your self-care. If you're dealing with a medical condition, you get the self-care and then the medical condition care on top of that, so that the plate can give you your life back. If you find that all you're doing is like therapy and exercise and it's just so you can live your basic day-to-day life, I want to empower you with a more effective time-saving way. And the vibration plate, the more you play with it, the more you have curiosity about what you can do on it. And, every time you're playing around with it, it's just going to make you feel better on the energy, the blood, the lymphatics. You can get some structure once you've got a little bit more experience playing under your belt. So give it a couple of weeks. As far as new user things that happen, yesterday's session, I covered most of those. I will, after I wrap up today's session, drop links for both session 1 and 2 in the feed here. So for now, let me see who's here. I already said hello to Sue. Thank you for joining. I've got 2 Sues here today. Carol Webster again, also here for the hat trick, joining us from Myrtle Beach. Sandy is here from California. Nice to see you. Hello again, Betsy. Yes, the hat trick, of course. Sue, I said, is from Charleston, South Carolina. Lori didn't. Nice to see you. I don't know if you say you're answering a question, but I do thank you for joining me, Lori, and saying hello. I think I saw you here at past sessions as well. So if I owe you a hat trick acknowledgement, let me know. Monica says hello. She's a new user. Thank you for joining, Monica. I hope you got some tips out of today. If you haven't seen the last 2 sessions, as I said, I'll get those posted, some good information in there. And I'll also post, I've got a number of different videos, hundreds with Lifepro, but I've got a really short 6-minute crash course. Whether you're a medical user, whether you're a trained athlete, it's my approach to using the plate. There's never one way to use a piece of equipment. I ask you to skip the manual, follow my short little video, and just try my approach and compare. If you're dealing with chronic or medical issues, as we're discussing today, absolutely junk the manual and follow my tips video when I drop that later in the feed. Hello again, Joan. Oops, you're late. But oops, you did it again. But you made it anyway. I don't know if that rhymes at all. I'm trying to channel my best Brittany there. Gordon says, hello, I really like training my body with vibration, where I combine all types of movements, type 1, type 2, and isometrics. Doing so, I find training with it very effective and stimulating hypertrophy. I need some lip balm. Thank you for bringing that. Yes, isometrics. I love that you're using these types of terms. Vibration just enhances any form of activity that you're doing on the plate. Using different movements certainly adds a different level of stimulation. Oscillating is the bare minimum. It's nice to have other movements, but I talked a little bit yesterday. The downside of going with some of the multi or combo machines is they do tend to get larger, heavier, more investment. I don't want anyone thinking you have to buy a top of the line Rumblex to get bone density. Any of the benefits associated to vibration plates are associated with oscillating platforms as well as vertical. They have their own different research. What I will tell you is oscillating is more tolerable. It's more natural. It's how we walk across the floor. So more people prefer it, and there's more functional gains. Whatever you are doing, Gordon, I don't want you doing the more is better and having everything cranked on everything all the time. The body gets used to anything after a period of time. So sometimes I encourage dropping it to a singular movement or a low frequency or a different program, just to keep, especially if you've got your own moves and things you're doing through the isometrics. I think you'll find just mixing up the settings, that foot positioning, adding some mass maybe to your exercises. You don't need to change up all the moves, but just by changing the settings, mixes things up and the body doesn't get so stuck in that maintenance mode, if you will. So good for you, Gordon. Thank you for sharing that. Carla says QQQ. Perhaps you're dropping that to see the recording later on. Thank you for saying hello. I don't know that I've seen you here yet, Carla. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you joining me tonight. Brenda Marsha from Massachusetts. That name rings a bell. I'm wondering if you were here one of the last 2 nights, but thank you for joining me as well. Hello again, Crystal. I have the Turbo 3D and it's really helped change my chronic fibromyalgia. Love it. Fibromyalgia, I could line up 1,000 of my users with fibromyalgia, and they all have completely different symptoms and triggers. So I'm always curious if you're what's working for you, what's not working for you, where you start with a plate and where you progress. So for my new users, please, I ask you to follow my short use video, because if you come back to me and there's troubleshooting to be done, it's a lot easier for me if everybody's sort of starting in the same way and understands my approach. Where you progress is completely an individual thing. After you've been using this thing for a week, 2 month, 3, you kind of get into your own little groove of what feels good for you and what your moves are for the feel good and what you like for the fitness. And it's an easy way to just mix those settings up to keep things progressing. On the fitness, I want to make sure that you're challenging yourself. So if you do need something, fibromyalgia, the symptom management piece is great, but a good squat really fires up those leg muscles if you're dealing with the leg pain or the cramps at night. So even using squats for fitness at the same time are going to help fire up those same areas that are giving you trouble too. So good for you for sticking with it. Consistency is the key. So give yourself a pat on the back, Crystal. Carla says, which one is best for a beginner? There is no best one, and a beginner means something different to everyone. Beginner what? Are you using this for feel good? Are you using this something that you're hoping to train as an athlete with? The best machine is the one that's going to be best for your situation. And what I will suggest, Carla, bare minimum, you want oscillating movement. So if you are looking at just, something that you can use under your desk or you just want to use it watching TV, any of the compact models, some of the therapeutic models with the bumps. But if you're looking at doing any standing, you want to progress to fitness, whether that's right now or down the road, bare minimum, I would suggest the Waver Mini or the Waver. When you're standing on the plate or hope to progress to fitness, you want a little bit of a machine underneath you. You don't want something that's 10, 12 pounds. They're cute and they're affordable, but they tend to get a little bit tippy. And if you are dealing with medical concerns, I want you to have something that's underneath you that is stable in itself, especially if you're trying to work on your own stability. And then lastly, do you need the combo movements? No, you do not. Where this becomes a bit of a discussion, if budget's a concern, you want simple operation, you want to be able to move it around, you want some portability, same reasons the Waver or the Waver Mini, it would be my recommendations. If you've got a dedicated space, moving it around isn't really that big of a concern for you. You've got somewhere you're going to put it. You want more features, additional movements. To me, referring back to Gordon's comment earlier, if you've got pulsation and lateral, they're a nice to have, but they're not the main movement that you need to accomplish a lot of these things. It's a preference, and if you want to invest a little bit more time into bank book into learning that type of a plate and investing in it, absolutely. This is the reason a lot of people end up having 2 machines. So even if you do start basic, I'd rather you start basic than not at all and think you have to wait 5 years to save up for something like this. Forget it. Go with what you can afford for now, but you may find as you progress, you may step up to a Turbo or a Hovert or one of the Rumblex models. You've got a clue. You've been using it for a while. You're sticking with it regularly. You may invest in something a little bit more substantial down the road. I hope that answers you. I will, in my videos that I drop later, there's one about selecting the best plate. There's some other common sense things, where you're using it, the type of user you are, some other things that you may just want to consider to help you make that ultimate decision. Who else is here? So Sue is here. Sue has been 2 years since she's had breast cancer. So she's finally now getting back into it. And having had lymph nodes removed, I want to prevent lymphoma. I work with more of this than I like to. My group this morning, Vibration for Fat Disorders, which caters primarily to lymphedema and lipedema, which is really just kind of turned into I should just call it the chronic use page, but I can't support everybody. It's such a wonderful tool for the lymphatics. And if you're dealing with a compromised system, there were some points I touched on earlier. I support a lot of post-cancer use more than I'd like to, but the big advantage you have, Sue, is you're not brand new to it. Even if you get started seated, just to get a feel for it, get that lymph going, a really great way to do your prep is while seated. So get seated on a stool, put the feet on the plate, and just work those pathways, get them prepped before you do your thing, and just build up that way. Just start having a relationship with this thing. What I will say, and Sue, thank you for braising this. I'm not going to pick on you, but I will let you I'm going to use you as an example if you don't mind. The biggest thing I find with my post-treatment cancer folks is you suffer with like chronic indecisiveness. Should I, shouldn't I, which way? And sometimes to the point where you just talk yourself out of doing anything at all. It's completely normal. I think there needs to be a group out there. It's just a common thing I see with a lot of my girlfriends. I've been supporting many, many more very close friends dealing with this same journey, Sue, that I'd really, really like to. But, just get started, or have someone encourage you and be there with you. You're not going to spread anything. You're moving, you're getting active, and your doctor wants you to do that. It's the overdoing and depleting your energy and things like that I want you to be cognizant of. So 2 to 3 minutes seated when you feel tired, when you feel indecisive, when you just want to feel better about yourself is the best way to get back into it. I hope that helps. Cindy says, hello again, Cindy. You are quite regular too. I don't know if you've made it to all 3 sessions, but I know you've certainly followed many of mine. Been loving using mine. I swear my knees feel better already. Good for you. They feel better because you're not taking on more than you're ready for. I hope you watched my good news for bad knees session, which is on Lifepro's YouTube channel as well. I'll drop that one today. It's one of my commonly visited sessions on their channel. I do have my own channel, which you can, you're not going to look too far. If you go through my name, you'll find me on Facebook. But I do want you to recognize everybody is starting in a different place, regardless of what medical issue or symptom you might be managing regularly. And the plate, many of you pursue it as an exercise, which it absolutely is amazing for medical and chronic issues. But many of you don't realize what a great symptom management tool is. Whether you're doing symptom management stuff on your own or you're just doing a good job at using it regularly on the activity side, you may notice the knees feeling better, the swelling not as prominent, the pain is reducing or gone completely. You're sleeping better, you're pooping better, your balance is better. So if you're struggling with symptoms of any kind, whatever they stem from, use your plate regularly. If you've been afraid to use it and haven't in a while, or it's still in the box, I hope to give you the confidence to start experimenting. Be curious. That's really all that it takes. And I'm here to fill in the blanks if anything wonky arises on the horizon. And I'll get some of those videos dropped in. I'm going to give a few more minutes for folks to drive comments over. If you're not on the main Lifepro page and would like to ask me a question, please do so. I've got a couple here more now. Hello, Roger. Nice to see you. Hello again. Roger, you sent me a question last night and I haven't gotten to it yet. I will by this evening. He has the Hovert 3D, which is 2 different movements, or you can combine. It's oscillating and it's lateral, and you can combine the 2 of those for a 3-dimensional effect. Les has the Merck plate. Is that okay, or does brand matter? I'm not going to get into a brand war right now, because I support a lot of them. Even though you see me here weekly with Lifepro, I am actually a clinical educator and research in the vibration plate world. And yes, brand does matter. Merck is not a bad machine. It has less performance than Lifepro. So the difference would be with Merck, 2 things. It is an Amazon brand. There are many, many of them. I haven't physically tried one yet. I would very much like to try one. I'm not so much about sell, but I am a lot about the specs. If somebody's coming to me and they want to do a study on a vibration plate, specifications are one of the things I absolutely have to be certain on. And I use a little digital tachometer. It's fairly accurate. It's not an independent test in that I'm taking it to a vibration plate analysis firm. That they exist. But a tach test, this is a tool that you would use to test the fan belt rotations on your car. And that tests cycles per minute. A vibration plate, the language of hertz is cycles per second. So I can do a little measurement with a piece of reflective tape and a shim that I stick to the edge of the plate, and it tells me what the frequency is. So the difference between Lifepro and Merck is about 4 hertz, depending on the model. Merck's top model puts out about 10 hertz in oscillating. It has a wide variety of speeds. That way you can mix up the programmability and fine tune a bit. But speeds and levels are not frequency. So in the home machine market, Lifepro's got a little bit of an advantage on the hertz. Some of their Rumblex models, my testing, not what the book, I don't care what the book says. I'm putting my name on this, so I test these things myself. In oscillating, depending on your mass, because that can affect the plate to a degree as well, insignificantly in most cases. But it's about 15 to 16 hertz on the Rumblex models. You're going to get 12 to 13 on maybe 14 on some waiver models. Same with the mini and lower. So Lifepro's waiver and lower, their oscillating only plates tend to be 12 to 14 hertz if I were to give it a range. The Romblex models have a little bit more in that 15 to 16 hertz range. The Merck is about 9 to 10, maybe 11 if you're a really light user. So they feel a little choppier because they're not moving as fast. In the clinical studies, the few that do exist, there's lots and lots of studies with vibration plates, but there's very few discussing the lower end. Why? Because medical grade plates aren't going to validate how awesome Lifepro and Merck machines are. They focus on what they're capable of and what they can highlight. Medical grade vibration plates in oscillating are upwards of 30 to 35 hertz. There are plates capable of that. Vertical or in oscillating, vertical plates are different. You can't compare just straight frequency. They have absolutely no amplitude. There's no amount of movement. The muscles are getting a buzz, but they're not actually expanding and contracting on many of the modern devices. So we're going to stick to oscillating. It's not a bad machine. It's not a brand thing. It's just an inexpensive Amazon white label machine. Lifepro not only has a little bit more frequency, that's partly because they have re-engineered some of the basic Asian designs to give you not only better performance, but they've got a little bit more shielding as far as EMFs, better quality construction. That's where some of the value comes from. But at the end of the day, why do I do videos for Lifepro over any other home machine on the market? Because they care about you in two ways. They offer training. Most of these companies out there, you're probably here for a reason, is because the company that you bought a machine from, if it was Amazon doesn't offer the support that I offer or that Lifepro collectively offers. And Lifepro offers a lifetime warranty. So I was a distributor and I sold machines for years and years and years. I don't want to be dealing with repairs and problems anymore. I am into the training and the support. So part of supporting you is making sure your darn equipment is working. So the number one reason that I recommend and started supporting Lifepro over any other home plate was because of their lifetime warranty. And that doesn't matter whether you bought with Lifepro or direct or through Amazon. So Merck is a good, what I would consider, let's say, entry level plate. It's a compact. So it's very, very itty bitty in comparison to some of the plates. Just to give you a visual, I'm not sure which model you have, but this is about the size of some of Merck's largest oscillating plate. Look at the difference in size on that. So if you're putting someone like me that's 5'10" on it, and I like to stand wide with my feet, you're a little bit limited. It's not a bad under desk model or portable model. It's what I would consider an entry level. If you find down the road, you're using it to death, and you'll find when you lack frequency, regardless of how many speeds they've broken it into, all you can do is really go longer and longer and longer. So this is, again, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes why people end up with two machines. You didn't know when you started. And most people that are in my personal support groups, as well as Lifepros, you don't go looking for how to use the darn thing or any of the facts about them until you've got this thing in your living room. That's when you go looking for how to use it, not after, before the purchase. Some of you do your homework, but in my largest group, I'm just about 29,000 members today. 95% of people join my page already owning a vibration plate. So there was never a bias. I make recommendations, and again, Joel and Lifepro has been not only completely generous and kind in allowing me to work with them and represent their products and provide you real-time training, but they're receptive to all this garbage that comes out of my mouth, because most of what I am saying when it comes to vibration plates, I have a very in-depth knowledge, and I tend to ramble on things that aren't necessarily relevant, but they are important because they're factual. And Lifepro in its education and its manuals, nothing changes overnight, but they're receptive to improving how they serve their clients. So I'm very proud to represent them and recommend their plates for those reasons. Again, Merck isn't, I don't like using the words bad or best because it really depends on what you're using it for, but it is an entry level. Ideally, they tend to be a little lighter, and I prefer them more for seated use and some light standing. They're not what I would consider a workout machine. I hope that helps. And I hope you got a good deal. There was some flying around on Amazon over the past few weeks. Cindy also says she's replying to Joan. I have the same question. So if I answered Joan, I think I answered your question. Let me know if I haven't, Cindy. So Olivia says, I'm taking your advice and sitting on a chair and leaning forward with my arms on my legs. Great for lymphatic. Awesome. I'm glad you like that one. You could start with some lymph prep before you do that. And again, with lymphatic issues, keep it brief. You can always do a little more later, but you can't undo what you already did. So don't move more than you're not ready for. Brenda was there last night and part of Tuesday. Hat chick for Brenda. Thank you for joining me. Carla is here. Thank you very much. My pleasure. I hope everybody leaving here today goes away. You know, it's not a matter of can I or can I not use a vibration plate. It's understanding how to apply the tool. There's never been a medical condition or a chronic issue that in some way, shape, or form, I haven't been able to find a way for you to use the machine, but it's how you use it, how long, the settings that are going to vary for everyone. Sue says, when starting out, how many times a day is okay to use? I'm not going to answer that question. Sue, you've watched me too many sessions already. You're looking for a number. I don't give you a number. You can use it as often as you need, but that doesn't mean I'm giving you license to overdo it. So it started out with 2 to 5 minute sessions in a seated position. Now it's only been 2 weeks for you. After 2 weeks, if you feel you're ready to progress, then go ahead and progress. The reason I want you to give it a week or two is to see if there's other things going on that you may not have been aware of. But you know, if you'd rather go longer, 2 weeks, you can do more often, maybe adding another session in there, or maybe the sessions you're doing, or you're adding another minute or two, whatever fits your calendar better. But if you feel comfortable to progress, don't ask me permission. But if you have overdone it, you're going to feel the swelling, a little bit of muscle soreness. Listen to your body after you've changed things, and it'll let you know. I hope that makes sense, Sue. Cindy says, replying to Roger, you live in a lovely spot. Trickles, Pasco. It's all French to me because I'm a Canadian in the Calgary area. Crystal says, does the very expensive power plate, always being 30 to 40 hertz, offer high stem cell productivity more so than the 4D? No. If you look, instead of looking at a frequency on a vibration plate, again, look up, does activity increase stem cell productivity? It's activity. And power plate has done a couple of studies at the 30 to 40 hertz range. And of course, they're going to promote the heck out of it. But have you looked at specifically, forget the frequencies aside, if you look up oscillating plates at stem cell, I have a couple of clinics actually that use vibration plates prior to stem cell injection because it makes the body more receptive, as I talked about. So yes, it does. You've got me on the spot. I cannot pull that off the top of my head as far as a number, but it's not a number. That's just one number, and that's how they market. So always being 30 to 40 hertz, I would go back to power plate and say, well, what's the amplitude on that? Here's where it comes in. And here's where power plate, you can come and talk to me anytime. I have been one of your certified trainers for almost 20 years now. I started with power plate. And yes, there is a study that was at 30 to 40 hertz, but it was also on a plate capable of 4 millimeters of amplitude. That is not the plate that they are marketing today. It's changed quite a bit. It's now called a triplanar. So it's like moving up and down, but there's a little bit, about 25% bleed because there's one motor in power plates today. The power plates 20 years ago, 15 years ago, had 2 motors under the surface, and they were synced perfectly to move up and down 40 to 50 times a second, whatever the setting was. They were German built. Power plate hasn't been the same beast it has as it was in the research. And if you look at the really good research on power plate, I guarantee most of it is dated prior to 2004. Excellent research, but they're promoting a device that they haven't made in over 10 years. So making a claim of 30 to 40 hertz is very misleading. What were the exercises? What was the dosages in the time? And what were the amplitudes? The home machine, at $2,500 has one frequency and next to no amplitude. So you can't take that little $2,500 piece of plastic and compare it to a $15,000 to $20,000 medical grade. The science doesn't apply in all cases. So if you're worried about stem cell productivity and looking at increasing that, what you should be looking at is, are there specific exercises? Are there exercises maybe that you're doing now that you've been advised to do? And do them in the environment of the plate. It's that additional stimulus of the micro movements, regardless of what frequency, that's going to give you that advantage and increase that over those same gains that you'd see based on the floor. I'll look into that one a little bit further, but I hate talking science because even the science is very lacking and very one-sided. It's very manufacturer-based. And unfortunately, much of the science in today's world is manufacturer-based. There's not a whole lot of new vibration plate studies going on because, let's face it, guys, you getting better naturally through movement isn't very profitable. Pills are profitable. Treatments are profitable. So that's the reason the studies, in my opinion, have kind of stalled. And you see a lot of these peer-reviewed where everybody sits down and has free lunch and they talk about vibration plate studies and they compare them without even spending a moment on them, let alone 20 years with people like you on them. I'd love to have that conversation and be invited to that lunch table someday, but it's probably not going to happen. I myself had my own epiphany. I came into Lifepro as a power plate and a Galileo HyperVibe snob, which are the medical grade devices, thinking, well, this $200 machine is not going to be the same as everything else. And you know what? I'm still seeing the benefits that all these big bad medical devices claim. I see them every day in the VIP group and in my own groups. And I really think, regardless of what movement type you prefer, and in my opinion, that one is not better than the other, the better vibration plate movement to be using is the one that feels best to you, because you're most likely going to be using it consistently. That's the big secret. But I will look into that one because now it's on my brain and I'm a little bit curious. Thank you for asking that question, Crystal. Cindy says, haha, I don't think you ramble. You have great info to share over the last 3 evenings. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Gordon says he's in the Calgary area and I'm born and raised Calgarian. And Bo, my hubby was he was born in Quebec City, but he was raised in the Bowness area. I had a shop on 16th for a number of years, but I just do it online now. I'm about an hour north of you, Gordon, in Didsbury, Alberta, Canada. Right in the heart of Alberta. Sue says, how do we join the VIP group? Look for the Lifepro VIP group. I will drop a link here in the feed after. Please be patient with them and make sure you answer all of the questions. If you don't answer all of the questions, you're probably not going to get in. But make sure, give them about a week. They don't do memberships every single day. And if you have a question that is service related, whether you're asking here or in the VIP group, Lifepro is going through some substantial growing pains. And although they are doing their very best to accommodate you guys, please be patient. If you've sent an email or inquired, please just leave it to them to follow up. If you continue to email and follow up, every time you touch base with them, they log a new ticket. So please, if you haven't heard back from them and it's been an unreasonable amount of time, let's say it's been more than a couple of weeks, I'm putting myself in the bullet position. Please send me a direct message or tag me on a comment in one of my lives or posts, and I will follow that up for you on a personal basis. But I want to support our team, and if they're duplicating and triplicating work, they're not going to get to you any faster. So if you have a service or a delivery related issue, please let me know. If it's a how to use, or my machine's out of balance, or something that could be related to use, myself, Roseanne, and Amber are the best folks to ask those questions to, and let the service people deal with the deliveries and the warranties and those type of things. I had to get that plug in for them because I do support them. They are trying very, very hard. I speak with them almost daily lately. They're following up with me, and I really appreciate. If any of my Lifepro folks are watching me, thank you for your support. It is unheard of in the world of vibration plates, and I've worked with a lot of companies over the years. Crystal says, thank you for the info. I want to upgrade, but was wondering about human growth hormone because Rumblex 4D or power plate. If my turbo 3D is well, if you've got the turbo. Wait. If you've got the turbo, you've got pulsation. That's the hertz thing that you're looking for. Pulsation is 30 to 50 hertz, but it really lacks amplitude, as does power plate nowadays. So the turbo has it. It already has it with oscillating. But what I'm saying is you'll accomplish that in any movement. You've just got to show up and use it consistently. I'm not a big fan of lateral, just my preference. I know Kim and a few of my gals love lateral for lymph. It's just another mix it up. But oscillating is going to give you the most benefit. Don't be spending more money just because you think you're getting 30 to 50 hertz. It's pulsation that offers that, and you've already got that in your turbo. So I hope that makes you feel better. The only difference that turbo would give you is lateral movement, and it's 14, 12. It's more like oscillating, but it's straight sideways. Nice to have, not a need to have. I have found their customer service to be excellent. Thank you for saying that. They need, we live in a time where Amazon has created this serve me now and, fix it yesterday mentality. So sometimes after like a Black Friday and a Christmas and a New Year's sale, they're busy. And Chinese New Year in the middle, sometimes China is in charge of whether things get delivered on time or not. So if you are waiting and out of stock, I don't believe it has anything to do with Lifepro. I think it has to do with shipping or delays from factories. So I do apologize. I know you're stuck in the middle, but keep watching me so you're prepared when it comes. And like I said, if it's extenuating circumstances and it's been an extra long time, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to support you on that. Outside of that, I've talked to you to death. It is now running on an hour 15. Thank you so much for supporting me. If you're watching this on a recorded basis and you have a question, tag me at Debbie with a Y. There is absolutely no reason you can't use a vibration plate with a medical or chronic use situation. It's how you use it, never a yes or no. And I am not medically trained. I should say that first and foremost. But as someone that has supported medical users and the medical industry as a clinical educator of almost 20 years now, I've got a clue. And I'd be happy to support you or your medical provider. Never hesitate to reach out. There's no such thing as dumb questions. But I do ask you to review some of the information I dropped tonight. And I'll drop the 6 minute and a few more ones that may be of interest to you guys. Thank you for being here tonight. I will be back here next week. There's rumors of a launch, new product launch by Amber next week. I ain't telling you a thing, but it's going to be an exclusive one in the VIP group only. For those of you that have been in the VIP group for some time, remember when we used to do launches and everybody get all excited and oh my gosh. So we're getting back to that. And Amber's going to be kicking off a new product next week. I do not have a date yet. That will be followed by sessions with myself and Roseanne as well on the new product, but Amber's kicking it off in the VIP group. We will be here in the main Lifepro group as we always are, so everybody can access us. But if you're an existing Lifepro member or owner of any kind, make sure you get into the VIP group. I just wanted to give you some notice, and I will drop the you know what? Bear with me right now, and I'm going to get that for you, so nobody has to go look. And like I say, just be patient with them. Make sure you answer all the questions or you're not getting in. It's growing exponentially. And for those of you that are joining me from the Lifepro vibration plate group, it's got a blue picture. Know that even though that thing is growing leaps and bounds, and I do my best to support members there, that has nothing to do with Lifepro at all. Some of you have tagged me. And there's some really nasty things going down in there. And I hope you know that that's not a Lifepro group. So if you're actually looking for support or you actually want to be constructive and get some help, get over to the main page, message Lifepro through their website or get into the VIP. That's not I've messaged the admin there a bazillion times trying to give her information just to help you guys. I cannot keep up with the posts. I do my very, very best. Search for me in that group, but just going to a page and asking random questions to be served, you're not going to get the best support. So I just hope you know that. Had to go on a rant there. I spent a lot of time there the last couple of days. Here is the VIP group link for those of you curious. Oh, get out of my, hang on. What am I doing wrong here? Cancel. Okay. Control V. There is the link to the VIP group. For those of you wondering, there you go. I look forward to seeing you guys again next week for the launch. As I said, get excited, get in, and don't work too hard. I will be back here next Saturday for sure. First Saturday of the month. I always do my vibration plate open crash course. It's been averaging 2 hours. Whoever shows up is who I cater to. It's just an open Q&A. I start with a very short crash course, and I open the floor to questions. It's always a really awesome session, and it's totally driven by who shows up. I just respond. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week for the launch, as well as next Saturday for my open crash course. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of the week and a great weekend if you're starting yours early. Thanks so much, guys.